quiet university student named Alina lived in a girls' hostel. One day, her roommate came back from abroad and brought with her a creepy rabbit-eared doll. Alina felt an immediate chill when she touched it, and strange things began to happen. They heard mysterious laughter and whispers in the middle of the night. Then one day, they found the doll sitting on the bed, moving on its own. At first, they thought it was just a one-time thing, but then it happened again and again. Eventually, they set up a video camera to catch what was happening, and what they saw on the screen was a shadowy figure standing over the doll. It turned out the doll was cursed. Other students in the hostel started experiencing strange things as well, like seeing ghosts and having their hair pulled by unseen hands. One day, Alina went to the university library and discovered an ancient spirit was trapped inside the doll. The spirit was so powerful that it could possess anyone who touched it, causing them to act out of character. And it seemed like the only way to break the curse was to send the doll back to where it came from. But will Alina and her friends be able to escape the spirit's wrath? Find out next time. Until nightfall, it fed on fear, laughter marking its presence. And the most terrifying part of the legend was this: if anyone spoke its name 3 times at midnight, the doll would come alive and answer. Whoever heard its reply would no longer belong to themselves. Their soul would belong to 𝗧𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗬. Alina slammed the book shut, trembling. She decided she would throw the doll away the very next morning. That final night, however, nothing went as planned. The hostel's light suddenly flickered out. Her phone died without warning, leaving her in complete darkness. The air grew heavy, and the silence broke with faint giggles echoing all around her. Alina's breath came fast as she turned toward her shelf. The doll was gone. Her eyes darted to the bed, and there it was. The 𝗧𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗬 doll sat on her blanket, its large eyes glinting in the dark, its grin wider than ever before. She stumbled back, her voice shaking as she whispered, "No, no." The doll blinked. Slowly, its glassy eyes closed and opened, just like a living creature. Then, in the quiet of the room, Alina heard a voice, but it wasn't from outside. It came from her own throat, twisted and warped into something she didn't recognize. The words were not hers, yet they forced their way out of her mouth. "You are mine now." Her scream filled the hostel, echoing down the empty corridors. By morning, Alina was gone. Her bed was empty. The only thing left was the 𝗧𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗬 doll sitting upright with a wide grin. On the wall above her shelf, written in dark, dried stains that looked disturbingly like blood, was a single word: 𝗧𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗬. The hostel never forgot that night. Students whispered that sometimes, when the corridors were empty, you could still hear faint giggles, like children playing. Some claimed that if you stared into the doll's eyes long enough, its grin would shift, stretching wider, sharper, as though it was waiting for you. And those who dared to touch it swore they could feel something inside their own face begin to change, their lips twitching upward into a grotesque smile that wasn't their own. Even today, the legend remains. They say once you've heard the story of the 𝗧𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗬 doll, it follows you. If you ever hear children laughing in the middle of the night, do not open your eyes, because if you do, the doll will be there, watching, waiting. The storm hammered against the windows of Blackwood University, thunder rolling like something alive in the sky. Most of the campus was dark, silent, and empty. But in the library basement, Daniel Reed was still awake, bent over piles of dusty notes. He had been there for hours, finishing research for his history thesis. his eyes burning from the dim yellow light above him. He rubbed his temples and sighed. The storm outside howled louder, shaking the glass panes, and a chill ran down his neck. That was when he noticed the draft. It was strange. This basement was sealed. No windows, no vents nearby. He followed the cold air to the far wall, where tall wooden shelves lined with forgotten files leaned crookedly against the stone. One of the panels had a narrow crack, almost invisible. His fingers brushed it, and the wood shifted, groaning as if it hadn't been moved in 100 years. A door, hidden. He hesitated, staring into the darkness behind it. Then, with the weak courage of curiosity, he pulled it open. A spiral staircase stretched downward, the air colder, heavier. His phone flashlight barely touched the bottom, but the pull was too strong to resist. He descended, each step creaking, the smell of mildew and damp paper filling his lungs. The stairs ended in a vast chamber. He froze. It was a library, but not like any he had seen before. The walls were stone, the air thick with dust, and endless shelves towered in every direction. Thousands of books sat in silence, their spines cracked, their pages yellow with age. The place felt alive, breathing in the darkness. Daniel reached out and pulled a book from the nearest shelf. No title, no author, only a name engraved into the spine. Margaret Hale. He opened it carefully. His eyes widened as he read. It wasn't a novel. It was a life, childhood, teenage years, her teaching career, her retirement. Every detail precise, like a diary written after events had already passed. At the end, the final lines described her last day, her final breath, the exact moment she died. Daniel shoved the book back and grabbed another. Anthony Clark. The same thing. A complete story of a life, ending with death. Row after row, shelf after shelf, thousands of names. He whispered to himself, heart hammering, "What is this place?" Then he saw it, on the third row, middle shelf, a book with his name, Daniel Reed. His hands shook as he slid it out. The leather cover was strangely warm, almost pulsing against his palms. He opened the first page. Daniel Reed, born October 14th, 2003. His childhood in detail. His father leaving. His mother's sickness. The scholarship that brought him to Blackwood. Everything was there. Everything exact. He flipped through frantically. The pages described his classes, his friends, even the paper he was currently writing. His breath caught when he reached the end. The final page was blank. A sound broke the silence. A faint rustling, like pages turning. His flashlight shook as he spun around. "Hello?" he whispered. No one was there. The shelves loomed endlessly, the air pressing against him like a weight. And then a whisper came. "Don't read ahead." Daniel's chest tightened. The voice was low, echoing, coming from everywhere at once. He clutched the book and turned to run, but the staircase was gone. Only more shelves stretched before him, twisting in patterns he didn't remember. His footsteps echoed endlessly, swallowed by the stone. From the shadows, something moved. A tall figure cloaked in black, its face hidden, gliding silently between the shelves. In its hand it held a quill, long and sharp, dripping with black ink that shimmered unnaturally in the light. The figure stopped, tilting its head as if studying him. Then it reached out, quill poised, and opened the book in his hands to the last blank page. Daniel shouted, "No!" and pulled the book away. The figure didn't move, but the whisper returned, louder, closer. Every story must end. Every page must be written. The shelves groaned as if they were shifting, closing in around him. Pages flapped in thousands of books, a storm of words rising all around. Daniel ran, heart pounding, but no matter which direction he turned, the rows twisted, forcing him deeper into the maze. He looked down and gasped. The book had returned to his hands. No matter how many times he had thrown it away, he opened it once more, desperate. On the final page, fresh words now appeared in wet black ink. Daniel Reed will never leave the library. The quill scratched somewhere behind him. The sound followed him, chasing him, echoing with every frantic step. He screamed, running, until his voice broke into silence. Above, the storm ended. The hidden door in the library basement had vanished, leaving only smooth stone. The university never saw Daniel Reed again. His books and notes remained where he had left them, as though he had simply walked away. But sometimes, in the silence of the night, students swear they hear something faint behind the walls of the old library, a slow, steady scratching, like a quill dragging across paper. And if you listen long enough, it almost sounds like it's writing your name. Claire Harper loved her midnight radio show. For 10 years, she'd hosted Nightline, where insomniacs and lonely strangers called in to share stories. It was harmless fun, until that night. At 12:47 a.m., a trembling voice came on the line. "Hello, can you hear me?" "Loud and clear," Claire said, smiling. "Who's this?" "My name's Emily. Please, you have to help me. There's someone in my house." Claire leaned closer to the mic. "Emily, did you call the police?" I can't. The phones don't work. He's inside." The studio fell silent. Claire motioned to her producer, who shook his head. No prank line detected. "What does he look like?" Claire asked. Emily sobbed. "He doesn't look right. His face keeps changing. Every time I blink, it's different." The line crackled with heavy breathing, then a bang, a door slamming. Emily screamed. "Emily, stay on the line," Claire shouted. The static grew louder. Between the crackles, listeners swore they heard another voice whispering, "She sees us." And then, silence. The call ended. Claire tried to laugh it off, told her audience it was probably a prank. But her hands were shaking. 30 minutes later, the police called the station. They had traced the number. "Miss Harper," the officer said, "are you sure you spoke to her tonight?" "Yes," Claire said. "Millions of people heard it." "That's impossible. The house we traced burned down in 1994. Emily died in that fire." Claire's throat went dry. Her producer stared, pale as paper. She looked at the switchboard. Line 3, the one Emily had used, was still glowing red, still open. Her headphones filled with the static again, and beneath it, faint but clear, came Emily's voice. "Don't hang up. He's behind you." The broadcast cut to silence. The next morning, the radio station replayed the tape. Claire's voice was there. Emily's voice was there. But in the static, there was another voice no one remembered hearing live. Deep, raspy, whispering every listener's name. And those who heard it swore the whisper followed them home.